Hey everyone, welcome to the Coding Zoo. This is your first time joining. My name is Shane. This is the CSS Building Blocks video series. This is lesson number 5, I think. I lose track. This lesson number 5. We're going to cover padding in the CSS HTML box model. We're going to show you how to manipulate the padding, different ways of doing so. I hope that interests you. If so, stick around. We're going to jump right in. Desktop here, I have an index file, and inside I also have a CSS file. Let's open that up. And I went ahead and added a picture of that block model. We're going to create some content. We're going to put that content in a div, and then I'm going to show you how to manipulate the padding. So the padding is the space between the content and the border of that block element. Let's try that out. I'm going to go here. I'm going to add div, and I guess I might ought to move to my index HTML file for that div and not put it into my style sheet. That might work better that way. Okay, so I'm going to add a div. I'm going to call this div, let's call it main. I'm going to close the div. Let's put some content inside of there. Okay, so I have a div and it has a sentence inside of it. I'm going to click save, go here, click refresh, and there we go. So here's my content. That content is inside of a div. I didn't put a border around it, so you can't really see the div. But you'll notice there's no space around this sentence. So that can be added two ways. We can add space in the margin, or we can add space in the padding. Today's lesson, I'm going to show you how to add space in that padding. And there's several ways you can do this. So let's go over the first. I'm going to go to my CSS now, and I'm going to add a name or ID selector for main, so I can find that main div. I'm going to put a border just so we can see the div. And I'm going to add padding. I'm going to add 10 pixels. Now you can specify pixels or points. You can specify different types of measurements here. I usually use pixels. So padding, and I forgot my colon. That's kind of a bug already. All right, so save. So I added a border, and I added space between the content and that border. So it puts 10 pixels on each side, top, bottom, and left and right. Because this div extends the entire page, it puts a little bit more space here. That's one way to change it. You can specify one value, and that value will be applied to all sides, top, bottom, left, and right. What if I wanted to change the padding to be different on each side? How would I do that? Well, that's another way you can change padding. So let's jump over to that. So I'm going to say padding dash top, and I'm going to put 5 pixels. So you can specify each side or top or bottom. So I'm going to do padding dash bottom, 10 pixels. I'm going to do padding slash dash left, 20 pixels, and padding dash right, 50 pixels. So I just set a different padding on each side of that content, and I've got a bug. Fix that. Click save. Okay. So 20 over here, 5, 10, and then 50 over here. Let's change this left side. All right, let's change that to 100. Click refresh, boom. So you notice how the space grew, right? So you can specify one value, or you can specify each side's value by itself. These are two different ways of adding padding. I'm going to show you one more. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go here. I'm going to delete those padding settings. I'm going to add padding back. Now, instead of specifying just 10 pixels for all the way around 10 pixels, I'm going to specify each side right here on this one line. So I'm going to do 25 pixel, 50 pixel, let's do 75 pixel, and 100 pixel. Okay, going to click save. So you might be wondering, which is for which side, which is top, which is bottom, which is left, which is right. So this first item is the top. The second item is your right side. So it's going top, right, and then bottom. So it's going clockwise. So top, right, and then the bottom is 75 here, and then the left is 100. So just think of a clock. Top, right, bottom, left. And I always forget this. Now I know. I have to remember that. Clock. Yeah, that makes sense. I always forget. All right, so that's saved. Click refresh, and there we go. So top, then the right gets a little bigger, and then more here and more here. So that's it. There you go. So that's a third way of manipulating padding. You can do something like this. So when you specify 3 values and not 4, or 2 instead of 4, it works like this. So the first one will always be the top. So the 25 pixels here is going to be the top padding, and then the 50 pixels is going to be your right and your left, and then the 75 is going to be your bottom. So this is top, this is right and left, and this is bottom. So I'm going to increase the right and left. I'm going to change these values a little bit. I'm going to do 5 on the top. I'm going to do 100 right and left, and I'm going to do 15 on the bottom. Click save, click refresh. There we go. So my top is very small, my bottom is a little bit bigger, and my right and left are the same. So pretty simple. Now what if I were to change it to 2 items? Well, in this case, the first one is going to be top and bottom, and this one's going to be left and right. Click refresh. There we go. Notice how the bottom shrunk. So that's it. It's pretty simple, pretty easy to manipulate. I showed you 3 different ways of doing it. Really, it's just 2. You can specify padding and put the items all on one level, one line rather. You can specify 1, 2, 3, 4, any of those 4 sides. Using 4 different numbers, or you can use 3 or 2 numbers, or 1 number. So that's one way of doing it. Or you can specify padding dash top, padding dash right, padding dash bottom, padding dash left to specify your value. Pretty easy to manipulate it. I hope that makes sense. I always forget with the one padding line what it represents. What's the first one, what's the second one, what's the third and fourth number. I always forget that. So just remember clockwise. If all 4 numbers are there, clockwise. So you have top, you have right, bottom, left. And that's it. Pretty simple. Hope this makes sense. Hey, if you have any questions, leave me a comment below. If you like this video, click like. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do so. We're going to cover margin or border next. So check out that next video. Hey, thanks again. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.